Eric, did you get stung by a bee because your face looks really swollen? And so I was just like, all right, I've had enough of this. I want to stop being looked down upon in sports. I want to stop being made fun of. Like, I want to, get athletic and gain some weight. And so I turned to competitive swimming. Um, at the same time, my parents also were very okay with me doing swimming because I had asthma, and they heard from their friends that like asthma would be helped if you swam or something like that. So that's what I started doing. And then I also started doing, some football, and then, all this other stuff. And so naturally, because I started playing sports and with swimming, I don't know if very many swimmers, but, we would train quite often. And so I got pretty good at swimming, swam all through high school, was very blessed to be able to swim all 4 years in college as well, which was a great experience. I loved it. All my best friends were on the swim team with me. And so because I was training, 4 to 5 hours a day in the pool, in the weight room, my body just naturally responded. I grew, muscle, I gained weight, and it was great. And so, at that point, I kind of done what I wanted to do. I went from skinny to, being pretty fit. But then I graduated college, and then all of a sudden I was on the opposite end of the spectrum because I, as a swimmer, I could eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I wouldn't gain any weight because I was burning it all off in the pool. But when I graduated college, that was the only like nutritional habits that I knew, or like the only lifestyle that I knew was just to eat whatever I wanted. And so within like a month and a half, I ended up gaining like 32 pounds. And I was put on blood pressure medications at the age of 22. And so, I distinctly remember coming home from a vacation at Disney World with my friends when I graduated. It was like a celebratory trip for me. And I came home and I showed my parents like some pictures, and my dad and my mom were like, "Oh, it's beautiful. Like, we haven't been back to Disney in so long, but like, Eric, did you get stung by a bee because your face looks really swollen?" And so at that point, I was like, "Oh man, all right. Well, I grew up being really skinny, and now I'm at the opposite of the spectrum, and I'm 30 pounds overweight, and this isn't much better than being skinny." And so that's when I really started focusing on what's a long-term sustainable way that I can, just have a healthy lifestyle. And so, that's what I've been doing for the past 3 years now. And, really appreciate you reaching out because it shows that that has worked. But yeah, that's kind of the journey. I went from skinny to, in shape to overweight, and then now back to in shape. So it's been, quite a journey there.
Very inspirational, very inspirational. Like
Thank
you
you.
said, there are certain stereotypes that it feels very satisfying when you overcome them. Like, I'm
Hmm.
Russian, and there's a lot of stereotypes about Russians,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I bet.
Yeah. And so besides stereotypes, it's extremely inspirational to see such a transformation, meaning that it's not your natural body type, you
Right.
know
Right.
so it's awesome. And of course that leads to my next question.
Mhm.
How did you develop your mental toughness?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And my mental toughness and like just mental acuity in general kind of evolved like amongst stages in my life. So when I was younger, my mental toughness was really shaped around just you know just not caring about what other people said about me, because I got so many comments, like so many comments, just very very like baseless comments, and quite frankly just kind of xenophobic and racist. But at the time I didn't realize they were racist, right? As a kid you're just like, oh, I just want to fit in, like this sucks. um but I kind of grew that mental toughness of, you know what, they're going to say what they want, I'm just going to prove them wrong. And so that's why I went into sports, right? Because I wanted to show like, Asians, we're not just, smart kids. We're not just nerdy. We don't just go home and play video games all the time. Like I'm good at sports. I'm athletic. And so I kind of grew the mindset of like, I'm going to prove everyone who doubted me wrong. And that got me pretty far. That got me through high school swimming. That got me through college swimming. I remember like in college during big meets, I would actually think before stepping on the blocks, I would actually think like, I'm the best here. I was like, you guys don't have shit on me. I apologize for the language, but I was like, you guys don't have shit on me. I'm the best here. And so, that was kind of the mindset that I had. But kind of going back to what I said earlier about like having a sustainable, healthy lifestyle, having that mindset is not exactly the most sustainable nor the healthiest mindset to have. And so I kind of had to develop that from using this like hate motivation as fuel to really finding my own, motivation and my own way to have mental toughness. So it shifted from like, using my haters, so to speak, which I'll still do, but, not as aggressively, into more so like, you know what, let's not so much care about what other people think as a whole, right? I don't care whether you dislike what I'm doing. I don't, necessarily care if you agree with what I'm doing, but I'm going to do what I want to do with my life because this is how I see fit, right? And so that was kind of a self-development that I had to realize. And I developed that primarily through just reading a lot of books, right? Listening to a lot of webinars and podcasts about, how do I like really develop this, right? Because if I can develop this, for the most part, everything else will fall into place. Because I truly believe that the most important thing for us to train is not our bodies, it's to train our mind.
Right.
So,
So
that's what really.
what tricks do you use to like get up and go and work out?
Yeah. So, that's a question I get a lot actually. And it's not really something I've ever thought of because for me, like working out has always been so like intrinsically part of what I do because, with swimming, with football, with all of that stuff, like I had to work out, right? Like I couldn't not work out or else I couldn't be a part of these teams. Um, but for what I've found for people who don't necessarily have that kind of intrinsic motivation, what really helps is just giving yourself a little reward at the end for doing good habits, right? So like for me, reading was never a good habit of mine. Like I didn't necessarily enjoy reading, but when I really wanted to first start reading, I would just say, okay, if you read, 15 pages today, I love gushers. So living in Taiwan, I can't actually get gushers, which has been killer. But in the States, when I was trying to build that habit, I would tell myself, if you read 15 pages today, you can have some gushers, right? And so, kind of the same thing happens if you don't have necessarily the motivation to work out. What I've found is like, I don't want my people on my team to work out to punish themselves, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I ate a lot yesterday, so I need to go to the gym. That's not the right mindset to have, right? So if you go to the gym, start off by giving yourself little rewards. So if you go to the gym, say, okay, I will, if you really like cookies or sweets or something like that, if I go to the gym for an hour today, I will allow myself to eat half a cookie, or like a full cookie. And then, wean that off a little bit. Obviously, you don't want to be like, oh, I went to the gym for an hour. Now I'm going to eat a pizza, right? That doesn't necessarily balance out. But like a small little rewards is the way to go for it. I think a lot of people jump into kind of like a new lifestyle or a new habit, a little bit too fast. And I think it's very good for people who can go all in and do it. That's, I guess, the most effective way to do it, so to speak. But if you can't do that, don't just say, oh, I can't do this all in, so I'm just not going to do it, right? Anything is better than nothing. And so if you have to kind of bribe yourself, so to speak, then do it, right? Take whatever it takes because this is a long-term game. Health isn't just short-term. It's pointless to lose 30 pounds if you just gain it all back. So I think, having those small steps and small goals for yourself has really helped me in life. And I think that's the biggest tip I have.
And you basically described this best-selling book. I think it's called Little Habits and how they
Yep.
change your life. And it's like
Yep.
it's all about giving yourself a little reward until it's your habit and you already crave
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. And I read that book, so I
it.
modeled a lot of my mindset off of it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, Eric, what kind of diet do you follow? Do you count calories or do you do like a protein ratios or do you do high carb, high fat, no carbs? What
Yeah,
diet
that's
is good
a
to sustain the muscle mass?
yeah. So that's a that's quite a loaded question. Um, so I've pretty much tried like everything out there. So like I said, I started with swimming. So the earliest nutritional habits that I had were that just eat whatever you want whenever you get hungry because you'll just burn it off in the pool. So that was my earliest one. Obviously, that's not sustainable, and that didn't work after I stopped swimming. And so when I stopped swimming and I was put on high blood pressure meds, the doctor, I have nothing against the healthcare profession. I think what they're doing, especially now during COVID and all that, is that they're the true heroes, right? They're at the front lines. But I think a lot of healthcare professionals nowadays just focus a lot on reactive health. And so when I was put on blood pressure meds, they just said you'll have to take these medications pretty much for the rest of your life. Right. And at the age of 22, I was like, the hell? Like I'm 22. I don't want to take these for the rest of my life. And so luckily my older brother, he is a pharmacist out in Boston.
Okay.
And so I called him from the car when, I got my medications. I was like, hey, man, like, I just got diagnosed with high blood pressure. Like, am I really going to have to take this for the rest of my life? And he was like, no. If you get your lifestyle habits and if you eat better and you change your nutrition, you can, potentially get off of high blood pressure medications by just having a healthy lifestyle. Because he was like, you didn't get on blood pressure meds until you started, having unhealthy habits. So he was like, just get those back in line and you can get off of them. And so that's when I was really just like, okay, like it's game time, like it's game on. So I started Googling a lot because everyone's a Google warrior, right? But I Googled like, how do I lose weight or how do I get off of high blood pressure meds? And everything on there was super daunting for someone who had never done anything before. Everything was like, you have to track your calories, you have to count your macros, you have to meal prep this, meal prep that. And for someone, like I said, that had never done any of that, I was just like, hold on, like there's just no way I can do this. I was very discouraged, very daunted, but I gave it a shot. I gave it a shot for a month and a half of meal prepping everything, tracking my calories, putting it into the app. And I have the utmost respect for people who do that. And it works for a lot of people, but it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
That was not the lifestyle for me. Like one, I'm a terrible cook. So I was spending like every Sunday, I was spending like 6-7 hours meal prepping for the week. And it tastes awful. Like I'd have this super dry chicken and I was like, this isn't working. But more than that, it was just the mental drain on me that I just always had to count stuff. I always had to like track it. If my friends wanted to go out and, get a bite to eat after work, I'd have to like console my app and I'd be like, oh no, I'm already over. I can't do that. And so it just wasn't a lifestyle for me. But like I said, it works for a lot of people. And so then I started looking for like, what's next? Like I'm always trying to develop and see if something doesn't work, why didn't it work? And then, improving on that. And so for me, the reason why counting didn't work for me was that it was so flexible to the point where I just didn't have any like real system in place. Cause like, it was like, I had my macros, but as long as I hit these macros, I could eat whatever I wanted. And so for me, like I'm very regimented. So it just wasn't enough of a regimen. And so for my next thing, that's why I was like, I need to follow a, step A, step B, step C, step C, whatever I need to do, I need to have some steps laid out for me. And so that's how I found, the current nutrition system that I use. And that's, what my full-time business is as well, because I had really good results with this system. And then I just naturally had a lot of family, a lot of friends reach out to me, be like, holy shit, Eric, like what did you do? Like I need to get on this. And so I organically just started sharing and helping them get in shape. And as I helped them get in shape, that's when I really saw the power of like, okay, this isn't just for me. Like this system works for everyone. And so that's the system that I use now. Again, I'm not a great cook, so this system is perfect for me, and it's very convenient. It's very quick, and so it's done wonders for me and the rest of my team as well. So
And
it's
what
been
is the system?
yeah. So it's called isogenics.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and so what it is, it's just like a whole body. It's daily nutrition, right? So a lot of these things out there are just protein.
Right, right.
There's a ton of protein powders out there, but that's just a supplement. For me, I needed something that was a full diet, a full routine, and so that's what I found with this company and with this brand. And I've partnered with them because I'm very passionate about what they can do and what they can do for people. So
And you're a great testament to what a great system that is.
thank you,
You're like
thank
a
you.
walking commercial.
Yeah, I try to be, right? I try to be.
Yeah. So talking about COVID and the coronavirus and how
Mhm.
everybody has to stay at home and all the gyms are closed, I was wondering if you could give some tips and to how to work out at home without gym equipment. And
Yeah,
is it
absolutely.
possible? Is it possible to get into a good shape without using all the gym equipment?
Yeah, yeah, great question, and a question that I've been getting a ton recently.
Right.
Um, I have two parts to my answer. So part number one, it's absolutely possible to get into good shape during this time. Quite frankly, I think that so many people, too many people, are using this time as an excuse to be like, oh, it was my New Year's resolution. I was going to get in shape, but then COVID happened, and now all I'm
Right.
going to be able to do is sit at home and eat junk food. And I'm just like, what? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
There's always going to be something that pops up in your life that doesn't allow you to do something, right? If you want to find an excuse, you can always find an excuse, and I think that's unfortunately what a lot of people are doing. Um, I think first and foremost, because all the gyms are closed, there's no better time than to find out what works for you with regard to nutrition, right? There is no better time than now. Nutrition is 80% of being in shape, getting in shape, staying in shape. The gym itself and working out is only 20%.
Right.
And
Yeah.
right now we can't even go to the gym. So why don't we focus on the 80%, the majority, the most important part, right? Like I said, I tried many different things. I tried meal prepping. I tried all of this stuff until I found what worked for me. So whatever works for you, it might still be meal prepping. It might be, using the system that I use. It might be using a completely different system. But now there's no better time than now to figure out what that system is. And so if you can get, your nutrition in line, like from that book that we were talking about habits, it takes, a while for us to ingrain habits. We have nothing better to do right now than to create habits. So
Yeah.
either we're creating
So
good
true.
habits or we're creating bad habits, and the choice is up to you, but it comes down to a choice. So first and foremost, yes, you absolutely can stay in shape during this whole situation. And my biggest recommendation is find what works for you on the nutrition side. Um, my second part, is it possible to gain muscle mass or lean up or whatever your goal is without going to the gym? Again, a resounding yes, right? Like when I was younger and I was looking at what body type do I want to have, like what's my ideal body type, and it was a mix between like MMA fighters and people who do calisthenics, right? And calisthenics is all just body weight, and MMA fighting is pretty much like body weight as well. And so, these are high level, elite athletes who their primary training is without any weights at all, right? And so
Right.
I think it's also a misconception that everyone's like, I need to get in shape, so that means I need to go to the gym. There's many different types of gyms. There's UFC gym. There's a conventional gym. Your park, your local park outside with a pull-up bar, that can be considered a gym. So I think we just need to get a little bit more untraditional, a little bit more creative, because this is a time, like, we're living in times that nobody has ever lived in before. And so we need to do things that we've never done before, right? And I think we need to use our brains a little bit. We're smart. Then there's a reason why we're human beings. We got to use these up here and not just use excuses to say, oh, I can't do anything because of COVID. I've seen so many friends, and I've been so inspired by Instagram and just online platforms of people using the most bizarre things to have workouts, right? Like using tables, using, like, I had a friend who used like a 50-pound bag of rice to do, workouts. Like,
Yeah.
whatever you have in your house, you can do a workout, and we just have to be creative about it. So
Right. Well, Eric, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And um, it's been so great to meet you and learn
absolutely. Thank
about
you so
you.
much for having me.
Thank you.